seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people.
There's been a whole lot of stuff knowingly withheld from us, the American people. I'm going to put a pin in that, guys, and we'll get back to that. I have a guest here, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the guest in. Although, for some reason, I need to make one quick adjustment. Okay, what's up, Pisces? How are you doing? You're mostly peacefully muted.
Okay,
Now
can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. There it is.
Okay, now before I, start going off, I'm not too loud or too tinny or too sharp for anybody.
No, you're actually like I have the meter on OBS. You're reading out better than I'm reading out right now, so that's great.
Oh, awesome.
Cool.
How are you, Johnny? How's it going?
Well, it's going. Just doing some news, and I'm really interested to hear this update out of Texas. So, tell me everything election-wise. I know you mentioned something about Colonel Allen West, and everybody welcome in High Seas. Put some ones in the chat. I'm pretty sure everybody here, if you've followed us, you know who High Seas is. So, fire away. Let us know.
Hi, guys. Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Kind of a big update. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry if there was an echo too for everybody. I meant to.
You're solid.
Is it? Okay. I will do this. Okay, just in case. But so basically, I wanted to go over with everybody what happened with Allen West, Colonel Allen West. Now, I want to preface everything by saying, I'm a fact witness to about 90% of what went on with Allen West during his time as the Dallas County Republican Party chair. As everybody remembers, he was elected not very long ago, a couple of years ago, and then he was reelected just about in April. Well, there was an effort in the Dallas GOP to secure the primaries. We had a good amount of momentum and a lot of support, and I was basically the only person that had a feasible plan put together. Other people have some good ideas, but I had a real workable plan put together. Myself and a couple of other people, we went to Allen West right after he was elected, and we showed him the plan. And our plan is a simple one. It's feasible, doesn't cost any money, and doesn't require thousands more, volunteers. So we had like a real workable plan to secure the elections. And there were a few different options for how to do it. Well, Allen West loved it. He loved it. And he was like, hey, you know what? This looks good. And I do understand the auditability issue, the ballot secrecy issue. I understand the chain of custody issue. So let's do what we can. So Allen West, as the GOP chair for the Dallas County Republicans, he put together a task force. The task force was meant to analyze all the available data because every county's election security plan might look a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Every state's will look a little different in every county and every state. It depends on what your unique county's criteria is. And so what the task force was supposed to do was bring together all the federal and state laws and all of the party rules so that we could determine what are the options in Dallas County for the Dallas GOP to secure their primary. That's what the task force was supposed to do that Allen West put together. That task force was supposed to collect all of that and analyze it in order to bring it to the Dallas County Republican Executive Committee. So the task force was a limited group of people, but the people who actually make the decision are the executive committee of the county. So the task force is supposed to bring all that together to give it to the executive committee. The executive committee is supposed to design the contract with the county elections department. That's what was supposed to happen.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so I was working very closely with that task force. The chair of that task force was a man named Stan Woodward, who I knew from, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know Stan Woodward from my meetings with Russ Ramsland in Allied Securities and Operations Group in ASOG. Okay. That's how I know Stan Woodward. Okay. To my knowledge, his only qualifications for election security is that he knows Russ Ramsland. And if you guys have been doing election security for a long time, if you've been following this for a long time, you may remember Russ Ramsland. He was with ASOG. There's a lot of deep state, accusations that get slung around about him. Mm-hmm. However you feel about him, you doesn't make no never mind to me. That's how I know Stan Woodward, who ended up putting himself as the chair of this task force that Allen West convened to secure the primaries in Dallas County for the Republican Party, right? So the law says that the Republican Party, the county Republican Party, has control over their primaries. They can decide how they're going to do it, what procedures they're going to use, what they're going to do for early voting and for election day. I have all of this mapped out for what the county party is allowed to do and what the federal and state law mandate, right? So it's kind of, you just have to examine everything and say, okay, what are our options? That's all we were supposed to be doing. But tell me why Stan Woodward would not bring my vital work to the full task force. He kept cock blocking me. He would not let the full task force examine all of the laws. He lied to the task force and lied to the executive committee about them being able to control early voting. So they just had to give up early voting altogether and try to somehow just secure election day. It was kind of a nightmare because we had everything actually all mapped out. I had the maps created for how we were going to return to voting by precinct. It's a very simple process. In fact, I just released a new report that details how to return to voting by precinct while still maintaining countywide access for all voters. It's pretty simple. And we've had this mapped out for a while. Stan Woodward just decided he didn't need to follow federal election law. He didn't need to follow state election law.
Okay.
And they decided not to bring all of the laws to the task force and therefore not to bring all of the laws and all the criteria to the executive committee. So the executive committee, by the time it was time to draft the contract, had no idea what was going on or what to even do. So it got left up to Stan Woodward and one other person in Allen West to finally draft this contract. Okay. Well, Stan Woodward didn't know what he was doing. I did, but Stan Woodward disrespected me too many times, and I walked away in late November, maybe mid-November, when it was about time to draft the contract for how to secure the Dallas County Republican Party primaries, because they didn't have anything covered. So what ended up happening was they had a terrible plan. They didn't cover all the bases. Voters got turned away, which is a big deal. You actually can't turn voters away.
Disenfranchising voters, yeah.
They were disenfranchising voters. They, despite me having the maps created for how to combine precincts into the nearby polling locations, they decided to not use my maps, which I gave to them for free. They decided to pay a guy who had no idea what he was doing to make maps. He proceeded to screw them up, had voters driving 30 minutes to get to a polling location, passing probably 10 others. And then voters having to go to multiple polling locations and being turned away and saying, you can't vote here, you can't vote here. That's illegal.
Right.
Now, in my latest report where I outline how to return to voting by precinct while still maintaining countywide access, I go over how simple this is. There's no reason for anybody to have to drive to multiple locations. If they've got one opportunity to vote, but they go to a location that they're not assigned to, they should still be able to get their proper ballot style. I mean, I've outlined all of that in my latest report. You can see it all at tbtr.us. It's pretty simple, and I'm happy to help anybody understand the process to switch back to voting by precinct without requiring the use of more precinct polling locations or more staff. My outline doesn't even require more locations. We can use the existing ones. I mean, it was so simple. We had everything mapped out. Allen West saw it, and he loved it. So when Allen West saw the reality of what his task force put together, voters being disenfranchised, voters being turned away, absolute chaos that put the party in the position to be sued by not only voters, but by candidates on their own ballot. Allen West was like, you know what? We're not doing that. That was not what I was shown.
Yeah. Okay.
So Allen West pulled the plug, and he reverted back to the old county contract, which upset the task force, who themselves were violating the law. Okay. So you've got a faction of Dallas GOP out there who has been attacking Allen West to the point that he stepped down right after being reelected. They said, if you do not reverse what you've just done and let us conduct all of the runoffs in the same way that we just conducted the primary, then we're going to Me Too you.
Really? Wow.
They threatened to Me Too Allen West.
That's crazy.
So here I am over here arguing with these women saying, why are y'all doing this to him? He was the only county party chair that was brave enough to try this. Every move that Allen West made was to protect the voters. And I'm a fact witness to that.
So
Nobody else can counter what I did and what I saw and what I contributed. That's why they don't. That's why they never argue with me when you see me posting online.
So they threatened to smear Alan West, and this whole little, I mean, it kind of feels like infiltration and a kind of a repeat of like prior election stuff that we've dealt with. I mean, this didn't get any news coverage like whatsoever, right? Because I certainly didn't hear about this, and I hear about a lot of stuff. So why did this get no news coverage? Is just the Uniparty kind of put the clamps on this to keep their elections the way they are? What was it? I get why he stepped down, but kind of maybe you can give us an inside look. What made Colonel Allen West kind of step out of this whole thing? Because that's a pretty big decision. Was he just overall fed up with the whole thing? He just doesn't trust the system anymore. Like, where do you think he's at?
Well, what really happened was the people who wanted election security measures, myself and a few other people in Dallas County GOP, went to him and brought him a real plan, and he was willing to put his name on it, even if it didn't go quite exactly, the way that we wanted, but it was still a feasible, workable plan that he could say, you know what, we tried. And despite him allowing this to go on with his name, with his seal of approval, when his own task force and his own executive committee failed to put together a feasible plan because they just didn't feel like they needed to follow the law, and then their number one subject matter expert, myself, walked away. So so it was an absolute disaster, and I told them it would be. They decided to, instead of taking responsibility and say, you know what, we didn't cover all of the ground that we needed to cover, we need to recalibrate and fix this for the runoffs. Instead of doing that, which they had every opportunity to do, I was screaming at Barry Wernick, who used to be my homeboy. That used to be my boy. I made Barry Wernick into the election security warrior that he is. Okay? He's not a subject matter expert. I taught him everything he knows, but I didn't teach him everything I know. All right, so Barry Wernick's out there misrepresenting everything that happened with Alan West. Stan Woodward's out there on Bannon's war room with a shit-eating grin on his face, lying about his role in the absolute disastrous primary. Alan West is being thrown under the bus, and he's both the sacrificial lamb and the scapegoat. He's both. They cut his throat on the rock, and then they strapped all of their own sins to him and ran him off into the wild. So he stepped down because he's like, I literally did what you guys asked me to do, and you stabbed me in the back when you messed up.
Yeah. Holy shit.
So it's like, if it went well, all of the glory would have been on the task force. But and he would have gotten like probably minimal credit, even though the task force it was all mostly my plan that they were trying to work out, but they kept fumbling it because they really did not want to follow the law. Barry Wernick and Stan Woodward do not want to follow election law that jeopardizes their ability to control the election. So with Republicans like this, who needs Democrats? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more on that sentiment. Does Colonel Allen West have any plans at this point? Is he just completely out of politics now, or where does that go from here?
Well, I don't think he's out of politics, but he's definitely done with Dallas County GOP. He will never go back to help them again. He did everything that they asked, and they took absolute complete advantage of him. But he's not out of politics. The only awkward thing was that he just got reelected when they started threatening to Me Too him. And so what he did was he stepped down, and he had to actually he stepped down, and then they were like, well, you have to come back in a month and call another meeting. Right. And he was basically like, he gave him the bird. He was like, here's how I think about you. And so he did call the meeting, and now they're in a bit of a power struggle. And I'm advising one faction of the Dallas GOP, and I'm advising them against the faction that I once equipped, that I once was backing, because the faction that I was backing decided they didn't want to follow the law. Now, I do election security. And that's it. I don't make exceptions. I don't say, that's okay. You don't have to follow the election law because I like you. Yeah, right. And so people are like, Aubrey, why can't we just all get along? I said, because I just watched you guys crucify a good man over your own shortcomings. The only man who is willing to try this, a man who made every move in the best interest of the voters, every move, even when he had to pull the plug on the plan to protect the voters from Barry Wernick and Stan Woodward, to protect the voters from Tammy Brown Rodriguez, Allie Raskin, I'm naming you, Diane, all of you guys, you disenfranchised voters. And how dare you have crucified Alan West for what you did? and then to threaten to Me Too him. And this woman told me, "Oh, Aubrey, we've got 4 women that are willing to come forward and say something." I said, "No, save it, because where were y'all 2 years ago whenever you first elected him? Better yet, where were y'all last effing month when you reelected him? So you can save it, because it's super convenient that really all of a sudden, when Alan West pulls the plug on a plan that actually disenfranchised voters, all of a sudden you guys have these issues with him. When his bloodthirsty executive committee decides that they don't want to follow the law and they want him to do it all, to put his name on their civil rights violations, absolutely not. So I'm a fact witness that Alan West did every move in the best interest of the voters. I was their subject matter expert for that task force. They do not have another one. That's why it was an absolute disaster after I walked away.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay.
And they'll downplay it. They'll say, "Oh, Aubrey, blah, blah, blah." But I have all the receipts. They will never argue with what I say. Their best bet is to act like they don't hear me, but I have all the receipts. So yeah. So Alan West, I just want everybody to know he was all for securing these primaries, but we have a corrupted faction in the GOP that's taken complete advantage of the chaos that is the election integrity movement. Yeah. And they're trying to co-opt it for themselves and say, "Oh, well, we're in charge of it now. And we don't like voting." This same faction that I once helped, but that I'm now fighting against, this faction who ran off the best Dallas County chair that they've ever had, Colonel West, this faction wants to deny voters the right to cast a proper ballot if they're provisional. And then even if they cast a provisional ballot and it's the proper ballot style, this faction doesn't want to count it because it wasn't cast in the right polling location. I said, "Well, yeah, you can't do that. That's actually a violation of federal law. You can't turn voters away, and provisional ballots are a fail-safe to allow voters who maybe they didn't appear on the voter list for a reason that wasn't their fault. Maybe the voter did everything right. Believe it or not, guys, sometimes county governments make mistakes."
I can believe it.
Can you believe that?
I can believe it. Yeah.
Right. And so provisional ballots there to help in case a voter did everything they're supposed to do, but for some reason they don't appear on the voter roll. You still can cast a ballot. You get the proper ballot style according to the address that you give, right? Now, if it turns out later, the reason that you're not on the voter roll is because you didn't register in time, well, okay, that's probably not going to be counted. But if you did register in time, you did everything you needed to do, but the county made a mistake, then yeah, you are an eligible voter, then yeah, we're going to count it. And so provisional ballots, I've outlined this in my latest report and in another report, which is a really sexy title. It's called "How the Federally Mandated Use of Provisional Ballots Satisfies Countywide Access Requirements." Okay, so it's just what you guys were looking for. Right. But yeah. It's all in there for how you can just vote provisionally to go back to casting ballots by precinct and still honor countywide access. Luckily for us, it's already the law. We just need to follow it. And it's not that all of this stuff is like my brand new idea. No, I've just taken the time to navigate state and federal law and quite a few counties worth of criteria to say, wait a second, I think that we have a really simple solution to this. That's what Alan West saw. Sorry, I have a big honking fly that came in. It's a really sweaty, humid day in Texas. But yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know that in case you see any slander from grifting shills like Weston Martinez, who used to be my boy, Barry Warnick, who used to be my boy, Stan Woodward, who was never my boy, but we were just kind of in the same circles. These people are absolute grifting frauds. They do nothing. They don't work elections. They don't poll watch. They don't have any reports. They've never met with Hyder. They've never said, okay, Stan Woodward and Barry Warnick met with Hyder after I brought them up to speed on what Hyder was probably going to be saying to them and the right things to respond to Hyder with, right questions to ask Hyder. Of course, Stan Woodward bungled that and completely capitulated to the county whenever they told him, you guys don't get to control early voting.
Is it possible that was kind of like a capitulation on purpose?
A lot of people wonder that. A lot of people are like,
I don't know the full in and out of it. I mean, what you're telling me, I now know. And I kind of, just me hearing it, I kind of get that feeling.
It kind of looks like it is why. Yeah. I mean, because like when you're looking at it, you're like, wait a second. Why would you not just fix what you've done and instead immediately go on Bannon and start mocking Alan West because, Alan West has the podcast that's called Steadfast and Loyal. They started going on to Steve Bannon and mocking him, saying he's not steadfast, he's not loyal, he's not for election security. He's the only county chair that gave it a shot.
Yeah.
My guy, Beau French, was ready to do it, but then he stepped down to run for railroad commissioner. And he just won his runoff, so everyone congratulate Beau French. He's about to. He's about
Beau French. I was gonna say, that sounds kind of like a wrap-up smear with Alan West, pretty much like the basis of a wrap-up smear.
And you know what? It would be so easy for them to do that to him because Alan, the party is a little bit split about how they feel about Alan. He's not an easily controlled man. He doesn't toe the party line. He does what he thinks is right, even if the party doesn't really agree with him. And we've had splits over him in the past. Now, I personally think he's wonderful. But he remembers me. His daughter's also named Aubrey, so so he always remembers me and as the election girl who has the same name as his daughter. So he's a really great guy, and he sat with us for 3 hours and listened to all of the different options. Now, I want to go over what the options were so that everybody understands what should have been brought to the executive committee so that they could design the contract. In Texas and in most states, the county party is who is in control of designing the contract for the primary elections. That means the county party decides, are we going to hand count ballots? Are we going to vote in precinct? Or what are we even going to do? How are we going to do this? So when the county executive committee is not brought up to speed on all of the available facts, they can't really do an effective, a really strong contract. And we have quite a lot to navigate out of, so it's like we really needed the time that the task force had and wasted to discuss all the options and bring it up to the executive committee, because there were 3 different ways that Dallas County had to secure this primary. There was the one way that we all want. It's the full paper, full hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots cast in precinct. That one does require more staff because it takes longer to count the ballots. So you do need more staff for that one. We didn't necessarily need any more polling locations. We just needed more staff. And that was the hard part, was getting the staff to count that many ballots in the amount of time that we've got. The second option was to hand count machine marked ballots cast in precinct. Now, I've shown, you can see this also on my website and on my Substack. Myself and my daughter and our 83-year-old friend Marilyn are the fastest ballot counters this side of the Mississippi. Okay, we can count 50 ballots with 34 races on them in an hour and 20 minutes, and that's a record.
Shit.
And and we have it on videotape.
Eat your heart out, California.
That's right, and France.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Okay, and I really want to stick it to France. So
right.
I'm just in that mood right now. In France. But that was one thing, because hand counting hand marked ballots takes about 2.5 hours. And whenever it takes longer to count a batch, and we batch them in 50 ballots, and we're averaging 34 races on the ballot, the longer it takes to count a batch of ballots, the more staff you're going to need to count all of the ballots in the amount of time that you have to get the ballots counted, obviously, right? So the faster you can count a batch of ballots, the fewer staff you need. Now, the machines can count them like that. We don't really want to rely on the machines anymore. So we've got to find a way that's going to feasibly work. So I wanted to prove that whether or not counting the hand-marked ballots or the machine-marked ballots would make a big difference, and it did. Mm-hmm. It cut it by over an hour. And so that actually cut our staffing requirement in half if you wanted to hand count machine-marked ballots. That means no scanners involved. That means they print out, you look at the ballot, you say, okay, those are my selections. I'm going to put this in the ballot box without the scanner on top. That was their second option. Ballots cast by precinct. The third option was simply to cast the ballots by precinct and let the scanners do their thing, but cast them all together. Now, if we couldn't staff the counting teams, the third option was the one that should have been the default. We should have at least by default cast our ballots by precinct. Yeah. They couldn't even do that. They couldn't even get that done.
Talk about setting you up for failure, shit.
Yes, and we had it all mapped out. It should have been smooth as velvet. Yeah. It should have been smooth as butter on velvet is what it should have been. Right. Because we had it all mapped out. And Alan West saw what we had mapped out and was like, this is great. This is great. I would really like to try one of these things. I want the task force to come together.
I feel like that's why they didn't want to try it, because they knew it would work. It would work too well. It would actually, do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and see, on one hand, I want to think that. I want to think, you know what? Y'all saw the value, and you and he crapped on it, intentionally. But on the other hand, I happen to know that Stan Woodward just has no idea what he's doing with election security. So it would have been
but to that point where it's like that stupid, because look, I'm not an expert on this, but I understand what you're getting at. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm saying allegedly. I obviously can't. I'm not going to slander, but that kind of looks a little funky. That's all I'm saying.
Does. It sure does. And a lot of people have questions about that for sure. Now, Stan, I don't have any money, and you know what? My engine just blew, so I don't even have a car. So don't try to sue me, Stan, because you won't get anything. And also, I'll countersue, and you'll lose, Stan, because I have all the receipts. Stan's gonna see this clip later, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, why are you so mean, Aubrey? Why do you have to be so toxic?" I'm like, I have to be toxic because I'm poisoning your well. All right.
Yeah. Well.
How am I going to poison your well if I'm not toxic? I'm poisoning your well. You're not going to drag anybody else, through the mud for your own shortcomings, guys. And I'm talking to the Dallas County GOP. Now, all of us grassroots people, we are out here like idiots, expecting that the people we elect are going to actually follow through on the principle. Mm-hmm. No, not necessarily. So, and now I've pulled the last knife out of my back from the Dallas GOP Executive Committee, and they can all eat dirt. And my fee is now $1,500 a month. I was helping y'all for free for a long time, but it's now going to be $1,500 a month. I'm advising a faction of them to try and elect a chair that's going to be reasonable, that's not going to turn around and do another disastrous primary election like they just did. Because those people are just doubling down and blaming Allen West. As long as they're blaming Allen West for election security issues in the primary, as long as they're blaming Allen West instead of admitting the truth, they are committing election fraud.
Just hearing the sentence blaming Allen West for election problems is enough for me to it's fucking crazy.
That guy was the only one willing to try it. I mean, no one else was willing. He was the only one, now Beau French sat down and heard us out. He had multiple meetings with us. Beau French understands a lot of the issues with election security, but he wasn't in a position once he decided to run for railroad commissioner to follow through. He did ask our new Tarrant GOP chair to do it, but our new Tarrant GOP chair, Tim Davis, is a Stay Puff Marshmallow Man. Okay, that's what he is. He's not hard. He's not like Beau French. He's soft and he's weak. But Allen West was not soft. Allen West was not weak. Allen West was one of the only. Yeah, and I was like, guys, if you do this to Allen instead of just telling everybody the truth that you just messed up, y'all just screwed up. You didn't know what you're doing. You ran off your subject matter expert. All right, because you kept trying to reason with her that the law doesn't matter, that y'all don't need to follow the law.
Do you see how how that sounds? Like, especially to like an audience like mine that's a little bit awake to what in the hell is going on. You're saying, oh, we don't like the people that know what the hell they're talking about. Then you have to ask the why. That's the question after that. But why?
Yeah, well, in their defense, they'll say that I'm mean and toxic, and that's not. I mean, they're not wrong about that. But I don't start out that way. I can get that way if they're gonna watch me. I just do this. I just dedicated my last 6 years of my life to this. I bring them all of these pearls for free, and they turn around and rend me like a bunch of pigs, and then they call me toxic. Yeah, I mean, sure.
You've been pulling knives out of your back between Tarrant County, Dallas, and all different places doing on, and many other states.
National level too.
On the national, as I was going to say, the states on the national level as well. So I totally, man, that's absolutely insane. I'm not even sure. That's like not something I was expecting to hear. If you were to come to me and somebody was to be like, yeah, Allen West has a problem with the election security, I'd fucking think I was in the Twilight Zone. So it's fucking wild, man. Holy fucking shit.
No, I mean, and it is. So just to be very clear, Allen West did everything he could to try and secure the elections, and he's got a toxic. Yep, he's got a toxic faction of fake election security experts in the Dallas GOP. People who I fortified with information, who are now taking the information that I gave them and trying to wrest it and twist it and use it to get the style of elections that they want. And like I said, the style of elections that they want are elections that disenfranchise voters that they decide don't deserve to have their ballot counted.
Well, yeah, and they're also not secure. They're trying to leave, in my opinion, and I'm not stating this as fact, it looks or appears as if they want these elections to be continually malleable. So bravo for calling that shit out. I mean, call it like you see it, So,
And there's a lot of weird things going on. You know, the Massey's election in Kentucky, I personally, that election, whether you believe that was organic or not, it's worth looking into, because whether that was verifiable or not verifiable, it is anomalous, that turnout. It's very, very interesting for Gallerine to pull 4 times the votes of Massey's previous opponents combined. That's a lot. And nobody even knows who he is, you know, so it's whatever. Now, Massey's not perfect, you know, but he's pretty consistent. And I would say I'd rather have somebody that's going to be principled than a yes man. Because here's my question, guys. Now, sometimes you got to replace somebody because they do go off. They do, you know, go off and you say, wait, you're not who I thought you were anymore. But sometimes you've got to ask yourself, are we going along with this, with replacing Massey because he's changed his position, or is this a demand from an executive branch who wants yes men? Now, I love Trump and God bless him. I don't even know if Trump's acting of his own volition half the time, but you know, I'm still praying for Trump and you know, that he's able to get done what he knows he needs to do for the country. But if all we need are yes men for Trump, why even have elections? I'm over here like an idiot wasting my time trying to secure elections, but when we could just have Trump appoint the entire legislative branch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're all a bunch of yes, because I could also say like Susie Wiles, like a lot of people have a pretty bad taste for her too, and I don't know about the, but then again, you know what?
Yeah, Susie Wiles, I'm not sure about her. I hear a lot of bad things.
I
about
do, but
her.
me personally, I don't have an issue with her. I didn't really have much of an issue with Massey until, and it wasn't just about attacking Trump. I found some other fun things that didn't look too great. But to be honest with you, you got to call it down the middle when it comes to these elections. It can't just be like you pick and choose this guy because you like him, or elections got to be straight down the board. I mean, as much as I hate fucking Ro Khanna, and I'm in California, I fucking hate Ro Khanna. But he literally brought up how voters are not being treated right because it takes a month. And this is coming from fucking Ro Khanna, who literally just said it takes a month to count elections in California. That's not right. If somebody like that is saying that, and again, I do not like Ro Khanna, it just goes to say, hey, these elections are incredibly fucked.
Well, yeah, and you know, we've got to take those wins where we can get them. Johnny, we're winning, and I want everyone in your audience to know that we're winning. We've got Democrats over here in Texas. All of the Democrats in my area are campaigning on being Christian. Do you know what else they're campaigning on? Property tax elimination, workforce opportunity. You know, I mean, they're campaigning on all like conservative values. So if they're going to start adopting our election security talk, I'm all for it. I thought it was hilarious when Jasmine Crockett went off about how Trump's people bought Dominion, so now we got to get rid of the machines. I said, oh my God, she's one of us now. I'll take it.
that company vote, whatever, bought it. Yeah, that's
crazy.
We're
still not gonna. That doesn't make it any better.
It doesn't to me. I was suspicious the minute I heard about it. I was like, just get rid of them. Let's just do paper ballots. That's how that works.
There are some machines that we could probably keep. There are things that we can do initially to start switching back to more secure election procedures. Once we do those things like casting ballots by precinct, and even, you know, starting to adopt certain hand count measures, maybe in some smaller elections to prove how feasible it is or to get some practice in. Once we start switching back to some of these, it's going to render these machines obsolete. I mean, we're paying millions of dollars for machines that
it's ridiculous.
For features that we don't need, for features that jeopardize the security of elections.
Yeah, for features that shouldn't probably even be used on there, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and shit, but yeah, whatever. Yeah. You know, it's a problem when your fucking election machine comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, right? Oh, we got to download an update. Yeah, sure. Right. And
it's really problematic, you know? And so that's the thing is I want people to understand that abolishing the machines right away will be a really brutal and rough strategy. It's going to cost a lot of money to do that. There's a lot of money tied up in the machines. So what I've put together is a way to start backing out of these of the rock and the hard place that we're stuck in between. And so the first step is to start casting your ballots by precinct so that you've got auditable precinct returns. When you cast your ballots by precinct, it automatically restores auditability by eliminating the need for post-election redaction of election records, because when you're casting all of the ballots of a precinct together, there's no ability for anybody to pull and identify people's ballots. When you're casting them everywhere, let's say, Johnny, you decide to come over and vote, across town.
Right.
And you vote over here, and you're the only one from your precinct that voted at that location.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have to do any investigation at all. Public records. I can get one public record and pull it and determine how you voted.
Right.
And so you're not guaranteed ballot secrecy. It's like a Russian roulette game. You got to see where's all the other people vote, and then you might be able to pull my ballot. But so it's like Russian roulette. So no one's guaranteed ballot secrecy if you're not casting ballots by precinct. So that's the first most crucial step for election security, is to cast all the ballots of a precinct together. Now, when it eliminates the ballot secrecy issue, right, because you can't pull ballots because all of a precinct's ballots are together, that immediately restores full forensic auditability, because the ballot secrecy issue has been why they're redacting all of our records. They're like, oh, we don't want you to pull ballots. And it was like, well, first of all, we were pulling ballots for a while before you noticed. And you guys can still, all the redaction does is make it difficult for the people to prove that there's a ballot secrecy issue. It doesn't fix the issue. Now the only people that can see it are the voting system vendors and the government, arguably the very people who shouldn't be seeing it. So once you cast your ballots by precinct, you restore ballot secrecy, which guarantees a full forensic auditability. Then you can look at what other benefits there are, because casting all the precinct ballots together strengthens the chain of custody for precinct returns. So because you got them all there together, which will make recounts more affordable and speedy, and audits also more affordable and much quicker and easier to validate, instead of trying to use a machine to identify where all of this one precinct's ballots are, because people are casting them all over the place. That takes so much time. I've been a part of a recount, Barry Warnick's recount. I was the lead watcher there. And Hyder thought it was hilarious to make us sit there and manually sort out all of these different ballots from all the 100 something. They actually have over 200 polling locations that we had to sit there and sort out many of those, the ballot boxes from many of those locations, and just look for the precinct ballots that were supposed to be recounting for Barry's race. So if you cast all the precinct ballots together, they'll all be in one box.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, pretty easy. So that's another thing, it's like there's so many benefits to casting the ballots of a precinct together. And that should have been the default if the Dallas GOP couldn't put together the staff or the money to do a full hand-marked, hand-counted primary, or if they couldn't staff doing a hand-counted, machine-marked ballot primary. But they didn't do any of that. And you need to cast your ballots of a precinct together for both election day and for early voting. You need to do both. You can't just ignore the 2 weeks of early voting and be like, well, our election's secured, because no, you get like 50 to 60% of your votes through early voting. You need to secure early voting too.
Yeah, for sure.
I got attacked pretty mercilessly for sharing my report about how to secure early voting. Mark Cook, the fake election security subject matter expert, he was slandering me horrendously because I was suggesting.
I remember some of that.
Yeah, I was suggesting that there's a way, because it's very difficult to eliminate early voting, and we've tried. Yeah. The arguments to keep it in place are solid. It's very hard to defeat. So while we're still working on how to rein that in, and we have a really good idea, actually, we've changed it in Texas and it's about to go into effect. We're no longer going to have 2 weeks of early voting and then a gap and then election day. We're going to have like an election period of a certain number of days all in a row, and they're all run by the same laws instead of separate early voting and election day laws. This is actually an improvement. It might not seem perfect, but it is an improvement. So while we're working on how to rein in early voting, I released my report for how to secure your elections during early voting by casting the ballots by precinct. And instead of seeing the value for that, some of the people in the Lindell circle decided to attack and slander me. And you know what? It's better than me getting 7 years. Right, or 9 years, like they did to Tina Peters.
Well, I'm actually got a question for you about Tina, but please continue.
Yeah, look, arguably, I had it easy from the Lindell circle, because Mark Cook had this little hub that he wanted everybody to put their work on. If I had put some of our work on that hub, some of the sensitive ballot secrecy work on that hub, myself and the people who identified the ballot secrecy issues could have gotten the Tina Peters treatment.
Yeah, dude, and trust me, I'm so glad she is out. So glad she is out,
Thank
and
God. Tina Peters, God bless Tina Peters. She is
she'll be on
absolutely a
soon. Yeah,
hero, but she was taken advantage of by some of the people in her circle. Now, she also has some really good people in her
she
circle
does,
that really have,
amazing people.
she really does. And she's
Um,
lucky, and we'd all be lucky to have people like that on our
Yep.
side.
She'll be by my show to visit very very soon. So, but yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
just I know we ran over a little bit, but also I was late, so I backed the segment up, and I got another show after this, so it's all going to work out anyway. I did want to ask you one thing about what are your thoughts on Tina Peters' release? I mean, I'm just going to tell you, I personally think she's the Pandora's box of elections. I do think there is some kind of a case that's going on right now. I'm not going to get into what I think for many reasons. I don't like to telegraph punches, but what are your, if you had to give us a synopsis of what do you think overall, looking, now that she's released and looking back, what is your thoughts on Tina and her situation?
I'm so thankful that Governor Polis saw the value in releasing her, and I want to give him all the credit in the world, because I'm not the type of person that when somebody finally does the right thing, I want to shit
Agreed.
on them for taking so long. I want to say, you
Agreed.
know what, thank you for doing the right thing. I mean, massive
For
credit to
whatever
his
reason,
character.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you to Jared Polis for seeing the value in that. Okay. I also found his commercial or his little press conference that he did after that, where he was munching on a carrot. I found that to be so funny. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I
I
did.
was
Yeah.
crying, laughing. Man has me laughing. So for whatever reason, Jared Polis saw the light, released her. And I do believe that now I can't speak. I'm not part of any clandestine, investigation related to Tina Peters, but I believe I understand what she saw, and from
Sure.
my expert opinion, she is a federal witness
Thank you.
to the destruction of election records in
Federal
a
election
federal election.
violation. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think Governor Jared Polis, I don't know if somebody reasoned with him. I'm not sure exactly what happened.
I have my thoughts. I'll just leave it at
Well,
that.
and yeah, I don't know if Trump came down and was like, "Look here, buddy, you do not want your fingerprints on this
It
one."
would have been an emissary. It wouldn't have been Trump, but I'm kind of thinking
Mhm.
something of that nature ish. We'll just say I could be wrong, but whatever.
Of course, we could be wrong. He could just be like, you know what? Why we
I
literally
have a
let.
hard time fully believing, maybe partially. Yeah, I have a hard time believing he fully did that out of the goodness of his heart. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know that's a hard one to believe. That's the more far
Yeah.
fetched. It's easier to believe that there's a clandestine
Right.
operation going on than it is to
Almost.
believe that
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Right.
Democrats saw
Yeah.
the
Yeah. That's where we're at. Isn't that great?
Yeah. But anyways, I wanted to tell everybody that about Alan West. I've got a couple of other things that I'd like to update people on, but
Yeah.
you cover so much ground, so I'm just going to wait until you let me know when you want to bring something back on related to my work is not only in Texas, but I can give an update for Texas issues. We did just um
We got a lot of
oust
Ken
Abraham
Paxton.
George.
We got a lot of Ken Paxton fans in our chats, and
That's my boy.
we got a lot of Texas Patriots. I mean, Wicked Age, Akira, a few other people I know are out there in Texas, and shout out to all the Texas Patriots.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody in every state. If whatever your state you're in, thanks for holding it down, guys.
Yeah, we got problems here in California still. There's this Spencer Pratt thing that we just endured, and Hilton got in. I don't know where the hell that goes from there. It's honestly just the governor candidates for what it is the Democrat governor candidates are just fucking atrocious in California. They're just super atrocious. So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I really loved Spencer Pratt though. I thought he did cool. That was really interesting. His small campaign was very powerful. That was good.
it's exposing a lot, and it's got people asking a lot of questions. Also, your links have been dropped out there like crazy, so please feel free to plug away anything else you want to plug away before you go, please.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. So I do have on tbtr.us, I have our educational coloring books that have now been released. We've got Color the Declaration, Color the Constitution, Color the First Amendment, Color the Pledge of the U.S. Pledge. We have the Texas Pledge.
You should do
We have
one
the
color Maduro's jumpsuit.
Yeah, I think I might. Wait, I could totally do that. I could do all of the. Okay.
So
I have, you just gave me a good idea. Actually,
okay.
I could do
Cool.
all of the best mug shots,
Yeah.
in the last, 50 years or the last 100 years. I could do all
There
the
you
best
go.
mug shots.
Yeah.
But,
Color Trump's
but I've done a
mugshot.
lot of, yeah, color Trump's color MLK's mugshot,
Yeah.
make him
Yeah.
rainbow face, whatever. But I also have things like Color the American Creed, which is kind of a unique one. One of my friends told me that she's part of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and that every meeting when they start, they say the American Creed. And I didn't even know it. And she was like, yeah, they stopped teaching it. So I looked it up and I was like, this is good. So I made a coloring book for it.
There you go.
And then I've got the one that all the kids have been asking for, the ABCs of U.S. elections.
Okay.
That's a coloring book.
Wow.
Now, these coloring books, you can buy them individually for yourself. You can order them and in bulk and send them to an elementary school or an educational institution of your choice. You just send me that address. You basically can sponsor the education of young Americans. My target audience with these coloring books, not the U.S. elections one, that one's for nerds like us, but most of my coloring books, my target audience is pre-K to fifth grade. This is stuff that should be, part of the state standardized curriculum, so it should fit in with everything. It's not opposing the curriculum, and we're not putting anything weird in there. It's just American philosophy. And I think that it's really good. So go on to tbtr.us and check out our coloring books, okay, and see if you like those. And order them if you want. Just check them out for a while. We are also offering them as promotional campaign material. So if there's any campaigns out there that are interested in leaving something with the voters that they're going to be able to take home, they're going to be staring at for a little while longer. It's not just going to immediately go in the trash. It's a nice, high quality coloring book. Perfect with my Crayola. I'm obsessed with crayons. Like, I'm an artist, right? Now, these are perfect coloring books for Crayola crayons. They go the paper that I've selected and everything. Okay. So I've gotten it down with my printer to a pretty low cost. So if you guys go on there and check it out, y'all order whatever you like. You can order 1, 2, 3, or the bundle. Or you can order them to sponsor an educational institution or as campaign material. Just check them out, and maybe we'll come on later and talk more about that. But anything you want to know, if you want to talk about Ken Paxton next time, we can talk about Ken Paxton, because there's quite a lot to talk about there in comparison with what's his face, Tallarico.
Yeah, Tallarico. That's troubling.
The Lego man. For some reason, the libertarians like Tallarico. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, we might have to talk to them. I don't know. We got to reason with them. But thank you, Johnny. You're the best. I just wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to make sure to come on here and advocate for Alan West.
There's a new sticker for you on Pilled, courtesy of Braves Piano, and I DM'd you that said sticker to your Telegram DM, so you have a new.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Y'all are so great.
People are doing that on the fly, so I just figured, but you have it, so there you go. All right, thank you so much. Yes, we will have you back very, very soon. I truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Johnny.
Boom. Give her a round of applause and put some ones in the chat. Thank you, High Seas. All right, everybody, there she goes. We'll have dumpster fire. The dumpster fire. And shout out to High Seas. Make sure you're following Take Back Texas. I don't know why my mic's been coming in low today. We'll make some adjustments for that. Okay. I just realized I just fucked up. I just sent Pena. That was so stupid of me. If you knew what I just did as a producer, you would laugh at me. So I'm going to laugh at myself. I just got rid of the meeting link, but it will give me a second to make a couple adjustments here, guys. Thank you so much. We are going to have dumpster fire, so don't you worry. That is happening. Okay, let me go into audio settings. Oh, I see why. There's the microphone volume. Hang on there. There we go. See how that happened. It's Zoom. Zoom being AIDS. There.